think about long exposures, you probably think about those nighttime photos with streaks of light or those atmospheric landscapes. I've always skirted along the surface when it comes to long exposures, but when Kentfaith reached out to me and see if I would like to try some of their products, I'd sort of jumped at the chance. So I knew it was the perfect opportunity to dig a bit deeper into the world of long exposures. So what they sent me was the 4-in-1 magnetic filter kit, which contains a CPL, ND1000 and a UV filter. I figured that this would be a nice bit of kit I could carry with me. Kentfaith also has given me a discount code, but there'll be more about that later on in this video. So the first filter I used was the CPL filter. I was actually asked by a local housing association to take some pictures for their upcoming newsletter and blog posts. I don't normally do like corporate gigs as a photographer, but it's quite nice to earn that extra bit of money. But my first proper outing with them was when I took them with my Canon A1 and I attached them to my 28mm f2.8, and also had my 2x extender just in case I wanted to get a bit tighter and more telephoto sort of style. So to mount these filters to your lens, it actually comes in different parts. So there's the filter ring, which looks like a standard sort of step up or step down, which screws onto the front of your lens. And then so when you want to add and take off the actual filters themselves, they connect via being magnetic. So let's take a look at how the CPL filter looks on film. For all these filters, I shot them over the course of 2 rolls of film, so 1 roll of Kodak Gold 200 and 1 roll of Harman Phoenix, both from my Canon A1. Okay, I'm here sat in my car. I just finished work. It's dark, but I had an idea to rig up my camera and try and get a shot driving through a tunnel, long exposure. So I got the CPL filter. To be honest, it's really pointless using it at night time, but I think it could work with a glare on the windshield. I'm just thinking to get some light streaks. The lens I'm using is my 28mm. It's only 2.8 f-stop, it would have been nice to have my 1.450. But I think it's going to be like, I don't know, at least a couple of seconds of exposure. It'll probably be the whole duration of the tunnel potentially. But I've also got my ejecto CO button. So in theory, I've got it rigged up to take a photo now, so it should be quite safe really. And I've wedged the tripod in so it doesn't move. So all I have to do once I get into the tunnel is just grab this button and hit it, and it should take... There it goes. It could turn out shit, but there's only one way to find out. Waiting at the lights now before the tunnel. Got my camera on my lap. It might fall off. Oh. So the obvious draw for using a CPL filter is that it's polarizing, and that cuts out glare or unwanted reflections. It also boosts contrast, and stuff like clouds and stuff will actually pop out more against the sky. I found it handy to have in the kit, but also because it cut out 2 stops of light, I think that's what I wanted, because you can achieve sort of 1/8 shutter speeds in the middle of the day, which is actually quite nice, and you can sort of get away with shooting those speeds handheld as well sometimes. So the types of long exposures I wanted to take all revolved around the idea of capturing time and movement in the city and how people sort of move through the urban space. And I sort of wanted to steer clear from the obvious in that regard. One photographer that immediately sprung to mind was Titarenko. I think his images are so atmospheric and they totally reinterpret that urban space and what recognises it, but it perfectly captures the mood of the time and the context of the time. I do try to copy this approach later on in the video, but I'll show you the results later. But before I show you that, I want to tell you about the offer Kentfaith has given me to share with you. So if you like the look of these filters I use in this video, or you have your eye on any other Kentfaith products such as a mist filter, or you need a new tripod, then they've given me an exclusive 17% discount code for you guys to use. These products are great quality. I've been using the lens adapters that Kentfaith make for a little while now, and the build quality is really, really good. So if you use this code, you'll be getting a bit of a bargain, really. Also, using this code will help support the channel, as a small percent of any sales generated from using this code will come to me, and this will help me to help cover the costs of making these videos and help the channel grow and make bigger and better videos, hopefully in the future. So if this sounds something like you're interested in and you want to help support the channel, then use code LAP35 to get 17% off until the end of this year. So for the second roll, the roll of Phoenix 200, I experimented a lot more. These images taken from inside the car are my favourite by far. They worked better than expected, and I played into the character of Harman Phoenix, that contrasty, the punchiness of some of the colours, and I think the polarising filter helped cut out the reflection coming through the windscreen as well. I finished this roll by taking some street photos in and around my local lab, and I shot them all handheld because I was trying to do some tracking shots. I don't know if this was the best film stock to get these clean results, but I like how they fed the chaos. Will all these photos be in my portfolio? Probably not, but this is what experimenting and playing around is all about. You sort of just learn new things and you try new things and you see what works. So that's the CPL filter. But what about the ND1000 filter? Now this is where things get interesting. Very interesting. So obviously the ND1000 filter cuts 10 stops of light, whereas the CPL filter isn't an ND filter, but it actually polarizes the light, but also cuts down 2 stops as well. So you can use it as an ND filter with the added benefit of getting it polarized to cut out the glare and reflections. The kit also came with a UV filter. I didn't use the it can be pretty useful as they offer protection for your lens, and also they can stop UV radiation coming through the lens and sort of eroding the sensor and the coatings over time. The ND filter, it worked perfectly, and that's almost a problem because it worked too perfectly that it caught me off guard and it caught my camera off guard, and it ended up just giving me a lesson in exposure, really. Naively, I thought I would solely rely on the light meter built through the lens in my Canon A1. So my logic being was, obviously the filter is on the front of the lens, so the light goes through the lens, the meter picks it up, that's the reading I used for reciprocity. But what actually happened was it cut out 10 stops of light, so much of the light, I think only the sort of highlights were sort of making it through, really, and the light meter couldn't work with it. So it was giving me a meter for the highlights, which is like textbook. You don't want to be doing that on film. There were only about 3 images on the rolls of film that were close to being salvageable, but none of them really sort of show off what this filter can do. And in them you can see the heavy contrast because the shadows ain't really being accounted for. So for the sake of you guys having actually something decent to sort of look at, I decided to mount the filter to my digital camera as well, just so I wouldn't have to account for reciprocity and the meter readings would be a bit more accurate as well. And so I ended up taking a lot of photos of my cat, but also I tried mounting it like I did with the roll of Harman Phoenix, but I did it in the daytime and put my tripod in my car. think trying these filters out and trying this cat on the whole is sort of made me change my workflow as a photographer, and that's a really, really good thing to do, because you help generate new ideas and it refreshes. It was sort of reinvigorating really, because I was going to locations I was familiar with, but because I had the tripod with me, I was sort of had to think differently how I was going to do things. It was less spontaneous, it was more calculated, and also the fact that I could just clip it onto my camera bag, and the little pouch that it came in was actually really convenient. So I could just dip in, take the filter I wanted, pop it onto the front of the camera, and but it was a fun experiment, even though probably like half the images are absolutely useless because they're underexposed. It just got me thinking differently. And the only thing really for this project is that next time I need to meet it correctly, just for the love of God, just remember to meet it for the shadows. Normally when I'm out, I use the Sunny 16 rule, because once you learn that, you can it's so intuitive and it's so quick. But obviously for this project, it was a little bit different. But if you want to see how I learned the Sunny 16 rule, I made a whole long video about that, and you can watch that after watching this one. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share, and do all the good stuff. Also, if you want to help support the channel, you've got the LAT35 discount code, which can go to Kentfaith to pick yourself up, I know, a filter, a bag, whatever you like. On there, they've got a lot of good stuff. Lens adapters are really, really good ones, and they're really good price. And even at discount code, you're going to be picking up a bargain. I've got more videos coming out. There's going to be more sort of artist videos as well. So stay tuned. I'll catch you in the next